Um, I can't thank everybody for being here. Um, um, it just goes to show me and prove to me that the good guys win, and doing things the right way and doing it with class and doing it with integrity is the right way. And guys, that's the K-State way. And it's been an emotional day for me. I am at peace. I've had so many colleagues, former players, parents of current players, text, call to congratulate Rhonda and I, and it's why I'm in this business, is to have that impact not just on a kid that plays for you, but on a parent, on a support staff member, on everybody that you touch. And that's leadership to me. Leadership to me is how many people you can impact on a daily basis and make sure that's a different person every day. And as I retire after close to 35 years in this business, I've already visited with our players, but I'm one of the lucky ones. I spent 15 years at the last two stops, and that's a rarity. And I know some people in here have had that ability, and it's unique. It doesn't happen enough anymore. And relationships with players, impacts on people that reach far beyond this game, that's always been my passion, and that's always been my burn, is trying to continue to impact people. I believe that, and believe and live like this, that players play for coaches that care. Coaches coach for coaches that care, and a support staff supports a head coach that cares. And I hope everybody that's come across me, whether it's players, support staff here at K-State or places I've been, have said, I will say this, that guy cares. And he's going to have my back. And I'm not going to throw people under the bus, and I'm going to continue to love them. I'm going to challenge the heck out of them, but I'm going to love them. My entire coaching life, I've put other people first. And for the first time ever, I'm putting Rhonda, Devin, Haley, and Colby first. I got to express my gratitude to, and thanks to Gene Taylor for believing and entrusting this program to me. It's hard to believe it's been nearly 7 years ago that Kenny and Preston and Starkey came up and picked me up. They'd never been so cold in their life in Fargo. And we flew down here and started a journey that it's been almost 7 years. And I took this job with little to no Power 4 experience. But I had a guy that believed in me and loved me. And I'm proud of what we accomplished in these 7 years. Won a Big 12 championship. I think we had eight or more wins, and there's 8 teams in the country that had that for 4 straight years. And we made it to a bowl game 6 out of 7 years at a place like Kansas State. And we did it with hard work, we did it with dedication, we did it with the right kind of people, and we had everybody with both feet in all the time. And that's not just players, that's coaches, that's support staff, that's everybody. I'm a big believer in being defined by a moment, not a body of work. And thanks to all the great players, thanks to all the great support staff, thanks to all the great coaches, I look at my 5 years at North Dakota State with great players, great coaches, great support staff. We won 4 national championships in 5 years. Look at my 7 great years here with the accolades we talked about. And as a head coach of Division I, in 12 years, I'm damn proud of the body of work that all of us put together. And guys, I'm not going anywhere. It's not a funeral for me. And I told the guys that. And You know, I've always said this when I come into this room after a tough loss. Do not walk around eggshells on me. Don't do that. We're gonna celebrate my career. We're gonna celebrate. I'm gonna be around here next week for the players. I'm gonna get out of here this weekend with my family and go see my kids. But I'll be around here next week to visit with all our players and answer those questions of those guys. But I can't thank all of you enough. I can't thank all of you enough for being the people who you are and for allowing the Kleimans to come into Manhattan and build something here. And Gene and I talked about this a couple of different times. I followed Craig Bull at North Dakota State after he won 3 consecutive national championships, and people said, don't you dare follow Craig Bull. And we won 4 or 5. And I followed the greatest coach, in my opinion, in the history of college football, in Bill Snyder. And everybody said, don't want to do that. And I said, I just followed a guy that won 3 in a row, and we did okay. I'm ready to go to work. And I think we did a pretty damn good job here. But guys, I'm gonna depart you now and let Gene kind of run the rest of this. But I love everybody, and I appreciate everybody, and thanks for everything, guys.
God, that guy pisses me off sometimes. He gets up here all stoic. I get up here all emotional. I'm a mess. I've been a mess all day. See, that's why it pisses me off. You just saw one of the greatest guys in this industry walk out of this room and retire from coaching, from the business that he loves. And what really pisses me off is he's doing it because where we are in this industry. And if we don't get this thing fixed, and I mean I'm a part of that, as every AD in the country and the conference commissioners, if we don't get this thing under control, more really, really good guys like Chris Klieman are going to walk away from this business. And I've already seen some of my colleagues do it because they just aren't ready to deal with what we're dealing with. We have to get this thing under control. We have to sign these participation agreements, every school in the country. We have to come together and run the business as equally as we possibly can, and right now that's not the case. And people are ignoring the settlement. They're doing things that are outside of the settlement, outside of the agreement, and we need to get it under control. If we don't, more good people like Chris Klieman are going to leave this business. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure, in my role as athletic director here and at some of the committees I'm on in the country, to make sure that we figure out this thing out. But it really hurts me that guys like Chris Klieman are leaving because what they came into the business for is different. Doesn't mean it's wrong, it's just different. And we have to find a way to make it as fair as possible across this country, and right now it's not. So with that's my soapbox for a minute. I'll answer any questions you guys have. And by the way, I really appreciate all the staff that's here, and I think it means a great deal to Coach that you guys came, and really appreciate it from my heart, too, that you guys showed up for him. You know, we didn't really say anything. We didn't really talk until Monday. He and I got together Monday morning, and at that time, he still hadn't really decided. He just talked through some things, where he was mentally, where he was family-wise, and said, Gene, I just got to take a couple of days. He was really committed to making sure that he really spent time with his family and thought through it, and as his faith is, prayed on it a great deal. And then he came in this morning and said, I'm ready. And he said, the biggest thing that made me feel really good is he said he was at peace. And that felt good for me. Well, you know, it starts now. Obviously, I haven't done anything. I haven't talked to anybody. I wanted to give Coach his respect and his due and let him talk to his team. And now as I told the team this afternoon, the business is different now. It's going to be fast. It's going to be efficient. And we need to move quickly. And we've already got all the things we need to be in place. So when we get to the point where we're ready to make an offer, that things can happen very quickly. And I think we need to make it happen quickly for the players and the staff so they know where the next direction is we're headed.
What's Coach Kleiman's legacy be after his 7 years here?
Well, he touched on it, right? I mean, people thought I was nuts because I hired my drinking buddy from Fargo, North Dakota 7 years ago, and it worked out pretty well. And, for him to, walk in, I told him this in the interview process. I said, you're going to have to drive down a highway that's named after one of the greatest coaches. You're going to have to walk into a stadium that's a statue of one of the greatest coaches, and you're going to, every time you look up in the press box, pissed off at your coaches in the box, it's going to say Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and you're going to have to be okay with that. And he was. And he not only built on Coach Snyder's culture, he put his own mark on it, and he brought in this very similar kind of players and staff that this place believes in and knows can be successful. And I think he's done it with class and dignity and won, that a lot of people didn't think an FCS guy could do. And so he should be very proud of that.
Is he intended to coach the Bulldogs?
We haven't gotten that far. He really wants me to talk to the players first and see if their interest is. And I'll do that, I think, tomorrow, is get with the leadership and see where they are from a bowl perspective, and then we'll go from there.
Gene, just how trying do you think this season was on
I think obviously it's pretty trying. I mean, if you saw him after the Utah game, and I think that was when I first, actually it was my daughter who said, "Are you concerned about Coach Kleiman?" And at that time I wasn't. I figured it was just the emotion of that game. He wanted to win that game so badly, and I think how it ended really frustrated him for the team. And I think it just but I think at that point is probably not that point. He's probably been thinking about it a little bit, but after the season, he and I typically don't talk about anything till after the season. And so I texted him Sunday and I said, "Hey, do you just want to get together Monday?" And he said, "Yeah." So I was expecting a different conversation, to be honest with you, when he walked in Monday. I thought we were going to talk bowl and staffing, whatever the case may be. And he said, "I got something I got to get off my chest," and that's where we went. And it's been the crazy 48 hours since.
Did you try to talk him out of it?
I did, and then he talked about his family and his health, and then I said, that I just pretty stopped me in the tracks, and I just said, "You know what, this is your decision, and I'm not going to try to talk you out of something that you feel is that important for you and your family." I don't know that it'll have a major impact. Obviously, they did a great job for us in the interim, not in the interim, in the Wild Wild West. I thought Curry and those guys were great, and they were aggressive. I think for now it's just about what can we do. Obviously the rev share piece, we have that. We're going to meet always have the minimum or the maximum number of rev share dollars, and now it's about going out and finding dollars for true NIL, and I think we have to get aggressive. And I think as a staff, we've got a plan in place to do that. But like he said, we're going to do it the right way. We're gonna make sure we're doing things the right way, and that's never going to change here.
Contract-wise for Coach Kleiman, just wrapping it up, is that something that has to be discussed over the next couple of days, or?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, he's going to be around, and those kind of things. We'll figure that out after he takes some time with his family and comes back next week, and we'll let him visit with the players, let him do his football stuff, and then he and I will get together and wrap that up at some point. Could probably afford 2 mics at some point.
Gene, obviously there's reports of a successor out there. Just how do you go about talking to the players about your process and maybe what they're seeing on social media?
I always find it amazing that this has happened before, that somebody's already hired the guy, and I haven't even had any chance to talk to anybody yet. But you know, I just told the players the same thing. I said, my job as an athletic director is to figure out what the next steps are. And, you know, my commitment to them, and as my commitment has been to other teams that we've made changes or changes were made, that we're going to go find the best coach for this program and this culture and this institution. And we're gonna do it the right way, and that's gonna be the major focus. The major focus isn't about me or winning the press conference. It's about these players, this culture, this team, and finding the best fit for that. And whether that takes 2 months or 2 weeks or 2 days, in this environment, it's gonna happen a lot quicker and a lot more efficient and a lot faster. So that was my message to the players, that I made a commitment. I told them, you know, I've done this a few times. You know, there's a guy in the room that's never been a head coach before, and he's pretty good at the sport of basketball. You know, when Craig Bowl left out North Dakota State, I wasn't sure who I'd hire. And I hired a guy that, you know, his only head coaching experience had been in a small college. Like he said, I told him, I said, I'll never forget this. We were sitting in my best basement in Fargo, and I told him, I said, Coach, you're going to be taking over a team that just won 3 national championships. There were 25 seniors on that team, and they finished 16-0. And he said, well, what are my expectations from you? I said, my expectations are that, you know, you try to win 7 or 8 games and get us back in the playoffs. He said, what are the other expectations? I said, the fans' expectations, you go win a national championship. And he did. He won 4 out of the next 5. And so when I hired him here, because we had the similar conversation. He said, what are your expectations? I said, you're placing a Bill Snyder. Kind of worked out pretty well. And so I have experience in finding the right people for the right positions and doing everything we can from the support system to make them successful. And we're going to do the same thing this time around.
Gene, just given how close you and Chris have been throughout all this, is retirement something that's weighed on your mind at all?
What time is it? You know, yeah. I mean, it has been. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I'm not, you know, 50 years old anymore, but I'm still committed to doing. I mean, there's a lot of people in this room that I care about, and I want to keep working until I feel that, you know, we have everything in place that we need as a program to be successful. And I think we still have some things we need to do. You know, we've got the rev share, but we've got to keep that going every year. We have to find true NIL and extra NIL dollars. Those are probably the next things we're going to commit ourselves to. And then at some point, I'll look back and say, okay, and I've talked to my buddies who've retired, Gary Bart at Iowa and Bubba Cunningham in North Carolina, and some of these guys, and they said, you'll know when the right time is. And right now, I don't feel it's the right time. Have I thought about it? Absolutely. Hell, we bought a home in Arizona, and every time I go out there, I think, you know, this is a pretty good deal. I maybe should probably just stay here for a while. But I'm not ready yet. And I want to make sure that because of where I am in my experience, I have some chance to sit on some committees now that can help make some decisions as an industry that can maybe put us in a place that we're going to be better off. But I'm not quite ready yet.
And with the next coach, is there anything you think you'll stress with that person about what it'll take to get this team back to a Big 12 championship level?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's really just finding out from them what they think is what it's going to take. I mean, they're the football coach. I'm not a football coach. And so I'm going to ask the question, what do you think you need? What are some things you're going to need to be successful in today's, you know, era? And that's the conversation I'll have with that candidate or those candidates and say, tell me what you think you need. And my guess is a lot of the things that they think they're going to need, we already have in place. And then from there, it's just, you know, once we make that decision on that coach, helping them put together that staff and the things they need. But I'm not a football coach, obviously, but I understand the culture here and what it's going to take to be a fit in this place, in this wonderful place. And that's the first and most important thing, is finding that right fit. And the rest of the thing kind of starts to fall in place after that. Frank, you haven't retired yet, but you look pretty relaxed back there. Yeah, I guess.
Any other questions for Gene? Gene, just on the successor, you talked about, has there been a point of contact reached out yet? Has that phase begun, and when do you expect that to begin?
No, like I said earlier, I have not, and I was going to wait to get all through this today for Chris, and you know, when I probably go back into my office, I'll probably start making calls. But I haven't talked to anybody at all yet.
Back to your opening comment of what you said at the beginning, are there enough like-minded people like you to get this business where it needs to be?
Yeah, my colleagues in the Big 12, because I put a text out and I just said, you know, Coach Kleiman, one of the best guys in the business, left, and here's why. And I said, if we don't, and I've got thumbs up from just about everybody in the conference. And I, you know, I talked to other colleagues in other conferences, and it's just there's so many moving parts right now and so many things out there that aren't accurate. But there are people with really loud voices right now that are trying to keep this thing from being put in the right place. Today in Washington, D.C., they're trying to pass the SCORE Act out of the House. And I'm not going to get way into the details. You know, that could be the first step. It's still got a long ways to go, but we all have to come together and speak off the same sheet of music, and right now that's not quite happening, and there's some pretty loud voices out there that are trying to do some things that aren't in the best interest of the industry, in my opinion.
I know that you already mentioned that Coach Kleiman, his main decision, or the main reason behind his decision was because of the state of college football. But was there any movement or potential movement in the coaching carousel around the country that might have caused this to happen now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's not. We've never had that conversation, and you know, I think it was a personal decision for him. It really came down to his family, to where he was mentally, and just really wanting to take a step away from it right now. But it really was more of a 100% a personal decision on his part.
How was that locker room when you addressed it earlier today? It seemed like you guys were hoping to make this announcement later in the week.
Well, we was here. It wasn't the locker room. We just met with him here. You know, it's quiet. I mean, it's a time of uncertainty for everybody in the room. Anytime there's a change, the players, you know, it was actually that's what he said. He walked in. This isn't a funeral, and the guys were really, really quiet. They were kind of sitting there like that's what they were. And so, you know, they were respectful. And then when I said my piece, we just got up and walked out. I mean, you know, these guys are really good dudes, and they care about the program. And you know, I just ask them to be patient and not do anything, not make any rash decisions.